reinforcing your army with the new units, and with a creep highway it's going to allow your reinforcements to get to your army a lot quicker, which is really important. Another ability that all Zerg players have, or all Zerg units have, I mean, is you have to upgrade it from your lair or hatchery, and it's called Burrow. And what it does is it allows any of your units to go underground, and this is really nice. All Zerg units can do this once you research the upgrade, because it makes them invisible, so you can wait for your opponent to walk by you, or you also get a slight health regeneration while you're burrowed. So if you just been in battle and you need to drop and you have a few surviving units, you can burrow and have their health regen while you continue to build up your army. The next thing with the some of the negatives about Zerg is well, this is also a positive, but it can also be a negative for some players. Their build structure is very simple. You have your hatchery, and you have to build all your units right from your hatchery. And depending on what units I can build, just depends on what I have. Here I can build Hydralisks because I have a Hydralisk den. Unlike with Terran or Protoss, you build like that unit's building. You don't create it from that building. You still create it. This just allows the hatchery to build that unit. So with Terran, if I wanted to build a Banshee, I would have to create a starport. But with Zerg, I just create a Hydralisk den, which allows me to build Hydralisks. Or I could create a Spire, which will allow me to create Mutalisks and then Corruptors. So, and again, they're all made right from your hatchery. And this is why your queen is so important, to always be spawning your larvae, so you have the ability to just keep reinforcing units. And as you guys can see, anytime if an extractor costs only 25 gold, minerals I mean, but you have to remember that the drone costs 50 minerals to make the drone, and since that drone's being consumed, so buildings are a little bit cheaper, but overall it all equals out in the end. And then one of the bad things about Terran players Zerg players for new players is that you're not able to wall your base off, and I know a lot of new players like to wall their base off because they're worried about rushes or their opponent just rushing really early games. So with Terran they like to do a wall, or Protoss you can do like a Pylon Gateway Zealot wall, where with Terran or Zerg you really don't have the option. One thing you can do is Zerg has these things called spine crawlers, and by putting the spine crawlers down, it's kind of like their own static defense, and you can actually lift them up and plant them elsewhere. If you're worried about a rush, so you can just toss down a spine crawler too. Queen also is good for stopping rushes mid-game as backup. You never want to take a queen out and have them fight like in the front. But another thing about Zerg is a lot of players complain about it is they're not really diversified. There's only so many race or unit combinations you can go, unlike with, say, Protoss or mainly Terran, which has a ridiculous amount of unit combinations that you can go. Zerg, you're kind of limited. I'm not sure, like, Blizzard may work on this later, maybe in the upcoming expansions, but right now you can go like Speedlings, Roaches, Speedlings, and Mutalisks. There's not that many different unit combinations that you see later game. Even though they're very good, some players don't like that you can't diversify as much with Zerg as much as you can with Terran, which it just really depends your style. Again, Zerg, it's really all numbers game. Try and get a really good economy. That's why you see a lot of Zerg players expand really quickly. They usually go for like anywhere from like a 13 to 15 hatchery, which would just be an extra expansion. Really early to try to get that early economy boost, because with Zerg it's all about having a good economy, having lots of numbers in your units so you can quickly produce more units to reinforce your army while you're in battle. But Zerg, while Zerg, the initial build structure, once you get the basics down, is pretty easy race. For beginners, I find it may be one of the harder of the three races to get at first, but once you have Zerg down, they are pretty simple. They're not too tough, and they are a really powerful race. So again, I would try out all three races see which one fits your liking or your play style, and then stay with it. You can also, again, try all 3 races and learn the units of the 3 races. Learn what structures build each race. That way, whenever you're scouting, if you see a structure, you can understand, hey, this guy, my opponent has a factory. That means factory with an army. That means he's either going siege tanks or Thors, and then you can continue scouting him. Because if you don't, even if you just pick one race and only know that race, by you scouting your opponent and seeing that your Protoss opponent has a robotics bay, you're not going to know that he's either going for Colossus or Immortals. So even if you are just going to, once you find the race, you still want to learn the other races. Just play them enough to learn and see what buildings make which units, and then once you've learned that, stick with one race and get really good at that race. You don't want to just be jumping around different races. Try and get good at all 3 right off the bat, because it's going to be really tough to master and get really good at all 3 races. The main thing is just sticking to one race, getting really good with that and comfortable with that race, and then improving the game. So I will talk to you guys next time.